Right, Bill, so I was just interested about, first of all, just to ask about the local significance of Honeybog Hill. So what does it mean to the local area?
It's a green area that's on the edge of the community, and you can see it from, well, quite a lot of parts of the different parts of the community. It's also, the issue really is that if building was allowed there, then it could extend beyond there, and you get a situation where there's virtually no green space between Glasgow and Renfrewshire, or if you like, if you were building up that way, there's no green space between Hillington Estate and the beginning of Renfrewshire, and that's why that area and the bits beyond were designated as green space.
Sure.
And up to now it's been fairly protected. There is a feeling, with some justification, that green space is under pressure because of the pressure to build more housing. Therefore, where at one point something that was designated as green belt, you could be quite sure it would remain that way and wouldn't be allowed to be built on. That's no longer the case. There's incursions into the green belt all over the country.
Do you think that's justified?
I think you've got to have some green spaces around the place, and I think it's important you have green spaces that between different places, between Glasgow, Paisley, different towns and communities. So it is important to have green space, although with the pressure for additional housing, that's becoming more difficult to maintain that.
When you mention additional housing, do you think Ralston is quite a privileged area? It's fairly well off. Do you think Ralston has a responsibility to take more houses due to that housing shortage?
Not if there's other areas within Renfrewshire. You can't look at Ralston in isolation, nor have the local council. They look at when they're making up their 5-year plan for the housing needs for Renfrewshire, they are able to designate areas where housing can be built. But that doesn't necessarily accord with what house builders want to build on. The house builders always have their own notion about where they want to build, and it's, if you like, in the best areas. For instance, we know from our conversations with the local council that there's tremendous pressure to build around areas like Ralston, Bridge of Weir, Kilmacombe. That's where the builders want to build, whereas there's other parts that the council would rather have built on, but the builders are less keen on these areas.
So is there a clash then between the council wants affordable housing and these developers, are they looking to have more luxury housing?
Well, I think nowadays it is possible for the council to insist that developments always have some affordable housing in them. That they have the power to insist on that when they grant building consent. And I would imagine that builders are, to some extent, they want to find favour with the council, therefore they'll include social housing within their plans.
Yep, that's excellent. So, can you tell us a bit about, there's been some big historical finds on Honeybog Hill in recent years. Can you tell us a little bit about them, with the Roman coins that were found on the hill?
Personally, I don't know much about it. I knew there were some Roman coins found there, and people talk about, although I haven't seen it, people talk about wild orchids and other things. I don't really know about any of the historical things there. Some folks have maintained that Historic Scotland should be called in to investigate it. But I'm a wee bit uncertain as to whether there has been sufficient found there for Historic Scotland to get involved in it. I don't know, but I suspect it might not be sufficient to justify them coming in.
So you're in the Community Council, going back to the first bid in 2011. You were in the community council when they attempted a development proposal. How did opposition to the plans come about, and how was it organised?
Well, as soon as people in the area found that there was a plan afoot.
And how did they find that out?
The local authority has to publish they issue a weekly list of planning applications received for all sorts of things, for large housing developments, for somebody building a conservatory, anything at all. So that list comes to the community council, but it's also available to the public. So when something like that, a fairly major development within a small area like this, it spreads like wildfire.
Yeah, sure.
You wouldn't believe how quickly. Right. And also in today's world on Facebook, something that goes around like a virus. It's incredible. Yeah. And that really is how this all started. That folks got to know it, went round Facebook in the area, and the community council were besieged, I think was the one, to say, what are you doing about this? we did realise there would be strong opposition, but we were quite taken aback by the strength of it. And that partly reflects what I said about Facebook, that 20 years ago people would have taken about a fortnight maybe to absorb this and for word to get round. Now, within a matter of 48 hours, something like this is known to everybody, just about the area. So the community council called a public meeting at which about 300 people turned up, and the local councillors were also active and involved in it, and all opposed the development. And particularly the people who live just quite close to here, who are overlooking Honeybog Hill, the folks that are up here, were concerned not just about there's always an element of NIMBYism about these things. You don't kid yourself that it could be otherwise, that folks don't want new developments on their back door. However, there is additional things here about access, that there was only to be one access at the top of Turley Road, which is just adjacent here, which was considered inadequate, and also that the roads that would lead in to the development by people coming up from the motorway along drives that are already quite narrow and restricted. That it was felt there had been no research or no looking into the effect of that sort of thing.
Do you think perhaps it highlighted existing problems with infrastructure, or was it merely the addition was just going to be too much?
Well, there has been flooding in the area, going back a long time, and flooding not far from where we're sitting, just about here, and also down in the Glasgow Road.
That's good.
The Glasgow Road one, I'm told, was not just water, but was a question of sewage. And up here it's because there's an underground spring that has caused problems over the years. The council, to be fair, have tried to fix these things, but they've been fixed. But there's big concern that a development up here would maybe not overwhelm, but that the existing structure wouldn't be able to cope with it. That's local opinion. And I would imagine that the council might come up with some more expert opinion about that.
That's not happened to date?
Not to date, but then before that development was approved, the council would have to look into these matters a bit more closely than they've done so far, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So what kinds of activities did the community council engage in to defeat the proposal?
Well, we ourselves didn't defeat the proposal. There was obviously a strong feeling in the community. The 4 local councillors were all were not in favour of this. the local council weren't in favour of it.
Right, okay.
And this we knew because, as I had mentioned earlier, the council, when they make up their 5-year plans, they invite builders to submit proposals for the sites they would like to build on. And they received, I think, about 120 proposals this time around. The council examines these and divides them into areas where the council feels they would welcome development, and a list where they would not welcome development. And Honeyball Quill was on the list that they would not wish to see developed.
Sure.
So we knew that if Honeyball Quill was on a list that the council didn't want developed, then any developer was facing a big hurdle.
Sure.
So I think, combined with the local feeling on the matter, the local councillors being against it, and the council themselves not wishing development there, then it was pretty obvious to us that any application would be in trouble. The last thing we heard about all this was that an application was drawn up and was submitted for, I think, about 150 houses, as opposed to, I think, the previous number was 200 plus. That was submitted to the council. There was an exhibition held at the local community hall where the builders' agents, I was very impressed with it. They showed lots of pictures and plans, and to try and allay some of our concerns about the drainage, etc. And we fully expected a formal application to go forward when all of a sudden we were told that the owner of the land, Miss Young, had parted company with Stuart Milne for reasons that we don't know. I personally telephoned Miss Young and asked her if she was willing to tell the community council her reasons or what her future plans might be, and she said, well, she would rather not discuss them. She was quite polite about it. But that was really the answer I expected, quite frankly, but I thought there was no harm in asking. That's where the situation is as we speak.
As it is just now,
So we don't know whether there's still going to be another builder whom Miss Young may approach to make up an application, or whether, I don't know.
It's dead in the water.
I don't know if it's dead in the water insofar as Miss Young, I'm sure, would like to sell that land. It's lying doing nothing. There used to be cattle on it some years ago. Obviously it was rented out for animals to pasture on it, but I don't know how long, years and years since there's been anything on it. So it's lying there doing nothing. And if a builder was to secure building consent, it would be worth a lot of money. I don't know how much, but it'd be a lot of money.
So just going back to the first bid, and obviously that was rejected by the local council in 2012. Why did Stuart Milne Homes return to the site, having been told that their plans weren't acceptable?
Well, they have the right to go to the reporter. That if they feel that the council's decision is unfair, is wrong in law, or
I see. So the second time around, it was after they went to the reporter. I see. Right. Okay.
Yes. They go to the reporter and they ask for the matter to be reconsidered on the following grounds. And as I say, the reporter can't overturn the council's decision. They can merely say, well, I agree with the council, or, well, I don't agree with the council, but it's referred back to the council for reconsideration.
So I think you've already referred to it a little bit, but do you fear that either Stuart Milne Homes or perhaps other developers will return with a new bid in the future?
I'd be surprised if that didn't happen. But it's a valuable piece of land and very attractive to any builder.
Yeah.
And I feel that Miss Young's not going to give up on it.
Yeah. Are you opposed to any kind of development of Honeybog Hill?
Well, we can't think of what other development there could be. Interestingly, when I said that the reporter said this bit couldn't be built on, but this bit could, what they came up with was a plan to build on this part, and they were going to make a little cycle part.
Right. Okay.
That was a flung in.
Yeah. Sure. A sweetener.
A sweetener. Yeah. And that would be a recreational area available to the community. You could call that a development, but I can't think of, other than housing, who would put up the money for a development there that would be non-housing.
Yeah. It's not. I guess there already is a community centre, but nothing like that. Would you think would be of any benefit? Or?
I don't think so. There's already a community centre, along the road there. So I can't think of any sort of public building. There's already playing fields. The Penlee playing fields have been recently improved. The pavilion there. So I can't see what development could be there, and it's not flat. It's quite a steep slope. So I can't see any development that wouldn't have the same effect, i.e., it be an intrusion on Greenbelt.
Yeah, sure. With regards to Greenbelt, without getting too specific on the precise legislation, the current rules on Greenbelt expansion were first drawn up in the 1940s, and they've been amended very few times since. In your opinion, are they still fit for purpose?
Well, nothing's forever. Something that you decided in 1946 is not necessarily exactly true all these years later. I'm sure it could be looked at as to is that still the way we want Greenbelt policy to be, but perhaps it needs to be a bit more specific. That you should have green areas between urban developments, because obviously the Greenbelt's coming under a lot of pressure. Things have changed since 1946. Therefore, I'm not sure in what way the Greenbelt policy could be looked at again or tweaked or modified
there are
to seem more relevant today.
Yeah, there are proposals, instead of having a green belt around urban areas, to perhaps have green strips, so to allow housing to expand in some ways out of the urban areas, and have strips of green land separating different parts of the new urban landscape. Do you think that would be a suitable?
I think already that there's urban communities are already connected. If you just look at the map there, that's Glasgow, and that's Paisley, and we've got us in between. So we're already connected there, and if these developments took place now, all this would end up getting swept away.
And what would be like
this way,
So did the episode with Stuart Milne Holmes, did that rekindle a community spirit, or was it a one-off?
Well, up to a point, but these things don't last. It's the old story that today there is less community spirit around because people are too busy earning a living and working. It's the way families are organised nowadays. When we came here 45 years ago to this house, there was a lot of community spirit in the area, but then a lot of women didn't work in these days and had time for community activities. Nowadays families are too busy earning a living. They organise their children's lives a lot more than they used to. Driving them around to clubs and various activities, and for that reason people have got less time. From time to time, if you try to close a school or build a new housing development in an area, or certain other things, people all of a sudden will discover community interest almost overnight. But it never lasts in that way. It does some good because we got a couple of new community council members out of it, and I would say it did help to encourage a community spirit, but it only lasts so long as the peril lasts.
Yeah, sure.
And once you've stopped the closure of the school or stopped the housing development happening, then things settle down a bit to where they were before.
So you mentioned that there's a kind of spectre that this might come back one day. What can the local community do to deter developers in the future? How can they keep that resistance going?
I don't think anything's happening in a very active way to keep that going, but all you need is for another building application to go in, and then people will become very active very quickly about it. My view is that there's not a lot local communities can do. They can make their opposition known, but at the end of the day, it's the broad policy that matters.
Sure.
And I have a feeling that through time, policy is going to change about green belt and about housing. There's maybe not so much pressure up here in Scotland, but there's, I think down south in the southeast of England, there's enormous pressure to build on green belt land and to make it easier for builders to get permission. And the central government seems to me to be caving into that a wee bit.
Would you back then perhaps more devolution of these kind of powers to local areas?
Well, I think there's a fair amount of devolution. I suppose you've always got to have someone like the reporter, an independent person who takes a view of it, so that the local council isn't calling all the shots. So there's always an appeal procedure, but I wouldn't be in favour of the local council, the registered council, having their powers reduced in any way.
Yeah, sure, okay.